know that Canada is a country of prosperity, but many Canadians do not feel prosperous right now. This problem has been stewing for decades, but now it will be dealt with. Productivity needs to grow so that Canadian paychecks can grow. We will boost the revenues our country relies on to support vital services that improve Canadians' quality of life while focusing investment on capital government assets. Now is a time of opportunity. We are poised on the edge of a new era of prosperity and nation building not seen since the post-war period. The dark cloud blowing in from the south has stirred us to action. And amid a groundswell of patriotism, we will build a shelter and a safe haven for our country and use this opportunity not only to weather the storm, but to flourish when the clouds part. This is the promise being made to Canadians now and Canadians yet to come. May God bless us all in these duties.
Welcome back to another episode of the Tea Time, and this is a very special episode. This is the part 2 of the episode with MP Kristina. This episode is, I recommend everyone living in Milton and Georgetown to watch this episode and educate yourself. Let's go back to Kristina again. Kristina, welcome back. We were having a really amazing conversation until last episode. We were talking about the recounting. I want to ask how Ottawa was. But before that, let's quickly touch base on the judicial recount, because that's when the pulse keeps going up and down again. And
Yeah, so where we left off, I was mentioning that I had received the call that I had actually won the election by 29 votes. Now, under Canadian election law, that automatically triggered a judicial recount of all the votes because the margin was so small.
It's an automatic registration?
Automatic.
So I thought somebody has to appeal for...
No.
No, okay.
No.
Okay.
If you're outside of the legislated margin, then you can request a recount, and some ridings did do that. But in my case, in our case here, the margin was so narrow that it automatically, whether I like it or not, there's going to be a recount.
What's that margin?
0.01%.
Oh, wow.
Of the total votes cast.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. It's a very small margin.
It's a very small margin, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So when the returning officer called me to tell me I had won by 29 votes, she also said, and that triggers an automatic recount, which we're going to get underway doing. And I said, okay, great. Well, I will go read about what's involved in a judicial recount now. And it's quite complex. I mean, it's a judge that supervises the whole process. It's a judicial process. And each party has scrutineers. So we had 30 scrutineers helping us, and so did the other candidate. And the judge was there supervising, and my campaign managers and a lot of volunteers were there helping out, and legal teams as well, right? Each party will retain a lawyer with a team to oversee the process and make submissions on different votes that should be counted or not be counted. Ultimately, the judge decides what should be counted, and then whatever the numbers are at the end of the day is how the election goes. And at the end of that several day-long process, I got a call at 5 minutes to midnight from my campaign manager saying, congratulations, you won by 21 votes.
Wow, 21 votes. That's amazing. Like, it's just the difference of 21 people going in your favor. That must be something for the first time election, that too, against a very strong candidate of Conservative Party, which is a very well-known party in the region, part of the region. Georgetown has been very conservative in the past. Okay, so now let's talk about going to Ottawa, onboarding, what your role is like. But before you touch that part, you have been a lawyer, you have been a practicing lawyer. What do you think is more, your career, was it more helpful in municipality, or do you think it's more helpful as a federal MP?
Very helpful in both careers and in many different careers, right?
Right, of course.
Because when you're learning to be a lawyer, you're really learning how to think logically and to apply logical principles to problems. So it helps in any career. I would say, though, there's more application in the federal politics, because in federal politics, there's just such big pieces of legislation that we're working on. And so when you're sitting down to read through draft legislation, having practiced that already, you know, through law school and in drafting legislation and things like that. It really is helpful to already have that trained eye. Not to say you need to have a law degree to do this job, but
was it nostalgic going through the going through the books again and legislation
well,
again?
you know, it took me right back to constitutional law that we
Yeah.
have to study in law school. It's one of the foundational courses we take, and you're reading the Constitution, you know,
Of
in
course.
those courses, and you're applying constitutional principles to challenges that people bring forward under the Charter and all kinds of other really important nation-creating types of legislation. So yeah, it did bring me back a little bit.
Great. So onboarding, I have talked to few MPs who have been, not this election, before too, who went to Parliament the first time. They find onboarding very busy, and you have to do a lot of reading and understand the rules and laws and principle of being an MP. What was it like? Was it same when you got elected as at municipal, or was it very different?
It was quite different, and a big part of the reason it was quite different is because I was 3 weeks behind everybody else because of the recount.
Oh wow! Okay.
Right? So we didn't have our final results until the middle of May, when the recount was all done. Meanwhile, all of my colleague MPs who had won on election night, April 28th, had already been in Ottawa for 3 weeks. So I got the call from the House of Commons after the judicial recount was confirmed, and they said, can you be in Ottawa on Tuesday? That was the day after Victoria Day long weekend. I said yes, and I had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to do my onboarding, my training, get my laptop and all my hardware set up. And the Prime Minister called Parliament that Monday to begin. The King came on Tuesday. Wednesday, I had a group of students visiting from the riding, and I got up in the House of Commons and made my first statement. So I had been there for just under a week, or around a week when that happened.
I am going to repeat again, you have had a very, very busy year, and your daughter just getting married, so that's getting even busier. I don't know what's ahead for you, but busy and successful in a good way. So Ottawa, what do you want to talk about Ottawa? Because I went to school in Ottawa. Ottawa is very beautiful in summer. So what do you like about Ottawa? Not just an MP, as a person, as an individual, because you're spending some time in Ottawa. What do you like about Ottawa?
It is a beautiful city,
Of
and
course it is.
especially around Parliament Hill. And it's a pretty tight-knit little space, because I'll be walking there and I'll bump into the speaker of, Mr. Speaker, and you'll bump into colleagues. People are friendly. I was waiting for an Uber on a street one day outside my office, and a gentleman came up and said, "Oh, are you Christine?" I said, "Yeah, hi." And it turns out he was a Conservative MP, and he wanted to introduce himself. So we chatted for a bit. So it's a really collegial, beautiful city. And it's very quiet at night, which surprised me. You went to school there. There's not a lot of nightlife, right?
Yeah.
But there's great dining and beautiful buildings, and there's usually lots of cool events going on. There's protests, which are also part of, Canadian, the
Yeah, of
ability
course,
and the
of
freedom
course,
to
of
protest.
course.
So I really, really enjoy the city. That being said, I have not yet been there during the winter time.
Oh, just a warning.
Yeah.
You will not be able to go out much.
Okay.
No, but Ottawa is beautiful. I mean, you talked about nightlife. Especially people living in Toronto and Milton, Mississauga, in this part of the Toronto, restaurants are open till morning. And of course, you're not going to get that in Ottawa. Ottawa is very, I mean, I don't know how to put it. I'm just going to use the word disciplined in terms of time. Of course, it's a national, it's a capital of our country. That being said, Kristina, I am going to ask you questions about your plan as an MP. Of course, during the campaign, from provincial campaign, talking to people while being a councillor, now being the MP of federal MP, what do you have in mind that you could achieve in your term as a member of parliament?
Well, there was lots that I would like to achieve, but we have to be realistic about the amount of time we have. And
I mean, priority, what do you prioritize?
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's advice I've gotten from other MPs who've been doing it for a long time, is you really have to choose one or two causes or important things that you can work on and try to make a difference. Because if you spread your time across too many different things, you won't get anything done in any of them.
Okay.
So I have a particular passion for palliative care. So this is end-of-life care for people who are dying. And I've been on the board of the Townsend Smith Foundation, which is a local board of directors, and we're trying to build a palliative care hospice.
My dad has been in palliative care for about 4 months when he had cancer, so I understand.
You know about it
Yeah,
then.
of course I do.
Yeah, so very important. You know, my mom was a nurse. I worked in long-term care. I worked in funeral service, and I have an affinity for making this option available for our community. So right now we're working on building a palliative care hospice in Georgetown for North Halton.
It's amazing.
But I really want, thank you, it is. But I really want to focus on a national strategy for palliative care, because there's a business case to be made as well. I mean, dollar for dollar, you really get more bang for your buck in palliative care, because it's just cheaper to provide care in a palliative care setting than it is in a traditional hospital. And traditional hospitals are excellent at what they do in healing and surgeries. Palliative care is a different type of care, and by removing that burden from the hospital setting, we're actually being smarter with our healthcare dollars, and we're providing a specialized care.
I don't know if it makes sense. My dad, when he was in palliative care, he was getting really sick, and we forced him into an emergency. And now I think about it, I think we actually wasted resources other people could have attended. So we got to understand, I think as someone who has been through it, I think it's a very important facility, separated facility to have. I don't understand the economics of it, of course, but I know it did really help my family as well. So I don't know much about the subject, but I really appreciate it. I think it will be very useful for the community.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's amazing, the more people I talk to about it, the more people like you tell me about experiences they've had. So it really does touch a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about, that's one thing. Of course, I am going to, because I have you today, so I'm going to use this opportunity to ask you a question which people talking to me have been asking. And they are not just asking to an MP of this riding, but generally people have been asking to talk about this issue to MPs, and that from Pakistani diaspora, there's 2 issues people talk about, one of them being immigration office not being in Pakistan. I'm pretty sure people must have talked to you because you have a very high number of Pakistani diaspora people, Pakistani Canadians in your riding.
Yes.
And the other one I wanted to talk about is the fascism in Pakistan people complain about. So have you heard those complaints? And if yes, what can those people do? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, and you're right. We do have a very large population of Pakistani folks in Milton who I talk to pretty regularly and go to the wonderful events that I get invited to and made good friends. The issue did come up occasionally through the election about the immigration office being closed. And, to be perfectly honest, I didn't know a lot about it before. What I committed was to speak to the immigration minister, or the parliamentary secretary, and see exactly what we could do to make things a little more streamlined and easier for folks in Pakistan who are trying to get those documents. Because it's already a very convoluted, slow process. It's just because it's so busy. So if there's a way to make that a little bit easier for folks who are trying to navigate their way through, we would certainly love to do that. So it's a matter of me learning a little bit more and talking to the minister about what's actually possible.
Okay. What about the second issue? People talk about Pakistan not having a democratic process, people being scared of talking even on social media now because they feel threatened. Anything as such has come up? Did someone talk to you about it at all?
Not a lot, and that's probably a symptom of what you're describing, right? I mean, people are afraid to talk about it. Yeah. So this is something that, again, my background being in political science and studying, fascism and all different kinds of political ideologies throughout the previous decades and it's a concern. Obviously, Canada prides itself on being a democratic country with democratic processes. So, I mean, ideally, we like to do business with and be friends with other democratic nations who share our ideals and values. So if there's concerns of that nature and there's a way for Canada to help, it's usually something that we're very open to listening to. Of course, there's concerns here that we have to make priorities as well. But when we continue to build and do that nation-building project of democracy here, I really hope and I feel that it is an influential thing for other countries to see, especially when people are immigrating from those countries and coming to Canada and maybe telling friends and family back home about how it might be different and how it works here and different ways that folks back home can do things to try and bring democracy, make it more robust in their own country.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good answer. But I do recommend people to go out and talk to their MPs, go out and talk to the officials and get help if they need. That being said, Kristina, it's amazing to talk to you. I have a lot more questions, but we have time limitation. I do want to play a quick rapid fire game with you. So I am going to do that, and then we'll of course ask you to leave a message or give the viewers a message for sure. So let me ask you a few questions, but you have to answer the first thing which comes to your mind. I'm not going to give you a lot of time to think about. So let's talk about very first, as a politician, who is your favorite Prime Minister of Canada? And you cannot say Mr. Carney because he's your colleague.
Okay. I'm going to say Wilfrid Laurier.
Okay. Who's your favorite president of the United States of America, and not the current one? You cannot say the current president's name.
I would not say the current president's name. Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. All right. Let's talk about sports. What's your favorite sport?
Hockey.
Ice hockey, field hockey?
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey. What's your favorite movie? Okay, not movie. What's your favorite genre? Movie genre to watch movies of?
Okay, historical fiction.
Wow. Me too. But they're hard to find.
They are hard to find.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
I grew up watching all kinds of, well, not historical fiction, like Antony and Cleopatra and those kinds of movies, yeah.
Okay, so let me put you on spot. Let me put a genre out there which you are not familiar with. So if I give you the name of two movies, which one Kristina would watch? Titanic or Mission Impossible?
Oh, Titanic.
Titanic,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so you don't like action, okay. Fair enough. All right, Kristina, let's talk about favorite athlete. Who's your favorite athlete?
Right now, Summer McIntosh.
Oh, wow, okay.
She's doing so wonderfully.
Okay. Blue Jays or Maple Leaf?
Maple Leafs.
Maple Leafs, okay. Of course you play hockey. Okay, let me put you out of, let me think. Okay, soccer, not the other football, or cricket?
I gotta say cricket. And you know what? I can't stand the diving in soccer. My dad's Italian, so soccer is like
Of
important.
course, exactly.
But man, they just like, my knee. It's just,
You're gonna get in trouble for this answer.
I'm sorry.
Okay, soccer or baseball?
Baseball, I think.
Baseball, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Kristina, it was a pleasure talking to you. But before we end this podcast, the second episode, I would like you to give viewers, people of your writing, and the Canadians a message. Please go ahead and say what you have to.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity for having me on Tea Time. It's been a great pleasure. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to the riding. And I would just say, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in and watching me talk with Salman. And thank you for the confidence you've placed in not just myself, but in other elected leaders that you've taken the time to learn about, support, and go out and vote for. And really, if nothing else, it's so important. We talked about democracy. It's so important to be engaged to some extent and to talk to your kids about how democracy works in this country and why it's important, because a lot of people think democracy is the default position. It just happens. That is not the case. Democracy takes thought. People have to conceptualize it. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes dedication. So please keep doing the work in your communities, get out and volunteer and learn as much as you can about what's going on around you, and reach out to your elected representatives anytime you need help. That is what we're here for. That's our job.
Thank you, Kristina. That was amazing. Thank you so much for coming today. And of course, it was a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure talking to you about politics, about your personal choices and opinions, and not from just your writing. As a Canadian, I wish you luck, and I really hope to see more individuals like you sitting in the parliament representing us and our future generation.
Thank you so much.
This is the episode of Tea Time. Keep watching us and supporting us. See you next time.